So, following on the fake jobs for sale highlight, let's read this out. We've got an article that we're going to talk about. So it reads, criminal gangs who used methods to help people enter or remain in the UK unlawfully. I think of this as being just as bad, frankly, as running a small boat, he said. Under the skilled worker visa system, migrants need a job offer from one of about 87,000 Home Office approved employers that sponsor their visa. Firms are given a quota in advance based on estimated need and can assign certificates quickly if a prospective employee is already in the UK. Now, what I know from how Zubir may have networked himself is that the people I used to know, a lot of them have developed and managed to get companies running, especially healthcare companies. I had one too. I had to close it when Zubir shared my company information with a nurse who took advantage, and in misusing my company, I started seeing my accounting firm that filed my accounts before start to flag up some charges to prompt me to file again. And I decided, nope, let's make the company do it because I was not using it. So, following which, the lady could have just filed using her own tax reference number or just asked the business to consider her as a bank staff, because if she had signed up using my company account and then I close it, it means she cannot be employed there as an agency worker under my company. So she could have negotiated some other way as a senior healthcare nurse. She works in private firms like Spire. So she could have created her own company. But instead, I don't know, she continued to work there. And I think the HMRC then followed my name still to charge my unique tax reference number taxes for self-assessment. That would make sense. I think that's what's happened there. But it wasn't me working in those situations. So the charges that I'm incurring on HMRC for, I think it's just gone over 3,010 now. It was £3,010, but now it's gone just over. I should not be getting charged those things. There are other people who may have been coming in on course company offers and stuff, having networked through Flat for Oak House. If you were lured through Flat for Oak House and something's happened to you, e.g., exploited, sex working, rape, fraud, I think you can still go back and charge Flat for Oak House to Beer Francis and Hannah, possibly Lynette Vermo. Apparently, she decided that she'd be attacking, to disclose that she had been attacking families that go to Dagenham Church. I think it's a mega church now, the Ford and Faith branch. So, Lynette Vermo has actually funded criminals to become terrorists. And if you are caught up in what is called a modern slavery sort of situation, where you feel you're being exploited and underpaid, where these criminals have lured you to depend more on sexual transactions rather than actually remunerated paid work, then you've got a case. You need to stand up for yourself. If you're following this channel already, then you can find a way of reporting and highlighting what's been going on with you. I'm standing up for myself. So Bear Francis himself threatened to rape me. And then he also threatened to beat me up on another occasion. And they have been burgling my flat until I changed my locks. on one of the doors and then just chained up the other one. So should you be experiencing some of this harm, criminal harm, please do not hesitate to escalate. If you've been raped, please get checked out. No matter how long ago it was, get checked out as soon as possible. Because these crimes are supposed to devalue your self-worth, your mental health, of course, because Flat for Oak House is not disease-free. If you went in there and engaged in any sexual activities, you really need to get checked out. Because I have heard that they don't disclose until you meet someone else and then they start threatening you. So they could possibly be keeping tabs on you. If they have not reached out to you to threaten you or to tell you that, okay, when you came and you participated in this, it means you've got that, so we're going to keep using you to go around to places. Those are threats, but you can still stand up for yourself. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Get checked out. Say something to someone. Healthcare workers are trained to raise concerns. Zubair has said he's a radicalist, not a Muslim. If you can hear the gentleman in the background, he just staged his protest a bit earlier and I put it on the other video. So you can have a look at it. Okay. This is another just brief disclosure. Let's see. Maybe we could just make it joint because it will just make sense. And this is something that I've been asking officers to do. Look at all the reports, the admissions of the criminals are what I've been reporting. Look at all the reports as one and not just dismiss the cases. I've also found out that it's been discussed in the Home Office by the Home Office Secretary in Parliament to advance how officers can respond to criminals who are attacking people with technology. So let's see what this says. Defense review. Okay, this is not necessarily directly, but it is seems more of a global article. Reliability of the US as an ally. Okay. Well, that's not really part of ours, so I'll leave this one. But it says there's a review pretty stark in terms of explaining precisely the kind of threats that we're under and modernizing and the modernizing that is being done by adversaries in the world today. But clearly, because we are producing a report for the government, we're operating with certain constraints. Okay, so it is relevant. It is relevant. The report titled Understanding the Readiness said there was no sense of real urgency within government and recent policy documents did not know that in many respects we are on the potential cusp of war and that kinetic war may come to us when we least expect it, sooner rather than later. Okay, that's not great to hear. Robertson said it was spot on. He said we are being attacked at the moment in the gray zone with cyber attacks and sabotage with organized crime and targeted assassinations and disinformation campaigns. Oh my days. Do you know what? This just confirms what's been going on with me. I've had footage deleted. I've had my emails deleted. I've had text messages deleted. I've had they deleted emails when I was sitting right in front of Barclays customer service. on one occasion. It just led to me disclosing something else. I just got emotional, disclosed something else, and they helped me call the police. I think that time they also identified a modern slavery aspect. But then the police don't seem to take something seriously, especially when you have to go there. I think maybe in that case, because I was quite busy and they refused to go to Barclays. Perhaps if they had turned up there and found that I was being supported by other people, they would have taken note of the situation a bit better. But they took note, but it hasn't gone anywhere yet. Barclays staff, I must admit, all the management and the women who surrounded me that day, they seem quite advanced in spotting things like that. Fraud and crimes of radicalism. They escalated really quick. But the police really, I don't know how to explain this, because this is exactly what we're dealing with. People who can cyber attack, sabotage, and are working as an organized criminal gang, targeting and assassinating and running disinformation campaigns. This is exactly what I'm going through. As an individual, not as an organization, as an individual. This is exactly what I'm going through. So there's a report called Understanding the UK's Transition into War-Fighting Readiness. That report said there was no sense of real urgency within government recent policy documents. Did not acknowledge that in many respects we are on the potential cusp of war, and that kinetic war may come to us when we least expect it, sooner rather than later. I think in the previous video I was saying to you guys that Hannah's been saying to the live audience that this is not a game. The whole blame game thing, it's not a game. She's actually trying to take people down with her. And since January 2025, she was promising that there will be war in England. And they're totally using technology that they've developed over time. Starting with the architect's technology software that can scan a property until you're able to develop on things to film without filming equipment. But the architect in question is also a musician. The musicians that I've worked with in the past, we all start acquiring different type of skills, because we learn these skills either randomly or as a small group, to build up in our communities, to build up our teams. So you end up learning how to do like sound engineering on your own. Sometimes they'll accommodate someone to bring who's more experienced to come to your small group to equip you guys. So we tend to then be knowledgeable in how to do quite a few things as musicians from the community, Forward in Faith community that I was attending. So it seems my problems in Sambiwa, as I said in the other video too, that on one occasion I actually got home quite late. Well, it was early hours by then, early hours of the morning. I think around before 3 a.m. anyway, somewhere there. And it sounded like he was actually talking in my flat and using a microphone in the ceiling of my bedroom. So it was very weird. It was like he was hanging with the boys and then they were like whispering. It sounded like a burglary. But when I got in, I could hear the like positioning, the area which they could possibly have been speaking through, but there's no visible speakers in my property. I think they actually did use that architect software and probably have been developing on it. I mean, the guy who's there now, he's a videographer. He came in October 2024. So each time they come across someone with a different capability, they develop their technology. Zubir himself probably got the idea to go to hospital. When I had attended A&E, trying to figure out why my legs were feeling as if they were swelling and not visibly so. I went to A&E twice in 2023. My mother then followed a few times. Well, I think she followed on both occasions. And she didn't know what was going on. But she used to laugh with people in queues. She didn't even realize what was happening. What I've not realized from distancing myself from them is what I've not realized is that eventually they were getting intimidated. My nuclear family was getting intimidated to react a certain way to me, to not ever say or address the situation at hand. It was quite disheartening to have gone through all this and discovering how even my family was at risk. For a while, we were not getting along at all. But I was keeping my head down so that I find out what is really going on. But thank God for wisdom. I just kept on trying to tell them, please stay away, stay at a safe distance, because I really want to know what's happening. Yeah. We'll see what other articles are interesting. I could link this still to how the same technology or the mobilization of people. I did disclose how people like Lisa are traveling to other countries. So making money, being able to travel. I had a discussion with Lisa before she traveled, actually. I think she traveled before that too. And she was saying she had met someone on Big Gentry. So I joined Big Gentry. I met some people, yeah. I was trying to get into a relationship. Those criminals tried to make it look like I was becoming a part of their prostitution gang, which I was not. What actually happened is they quickly networked through the church I used to go to get those guys away from me. But it wasn't like those guys were one-night stands. They only became a plural because the one I was actually with didn't return. And then I found out, well, a whole lot of rumors of, oh, he's been taken away by someone I used to know who could have helped me with my property. It was really weird. And they were tracking the same person. And then we just never spoke again. An isolation tactic. The idea is once I meet them, you'd think they're empowering them so that they could be in a better position so that we're together. But it seems what ends up happening is they offer them things until they offer them someone else to just be away. I really don't understand why people would be doing that. For some of them, unfortunately, it just ends up in one night stands, where you then discover that you've been given something lethal for your future, and then that's it. Obviously, once someone does that to you, you can't return. I'm not saying that's what's happened to everyone, but apparently from Flat 4 Oak House, that's what they've been doing to a lot of people who go into Flat 4 Oak House. Alright, let's conclude this. I only want to keep it slow. Oh, 20 minutes. Do it, see the length.